is a great pleasure and honour for me to welcome the Palestinian Ambassador, Dr. Husam Zomlot, to address conference.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. President, Secretary General, executives of the TUC, trade unionists and delegates, Congress, friends, good morning. It's a sunny morning in the vibrant city of Brighton, and thank you, Matt and Paul, for arranging the weather for us today. And really thank you for this very warm welcome. Matt Rack and Paul Nowak for extending this invitation and giving me this honor of addressing the TUC Congress. It has been a privilege to address most of the major unions in the UK over the past few months. Unions, the labor movement, are a bedrock of solidarity for Palestine, both now and, as Matt just said, historically, and have a long and proud history of activism and struggle for justice in the UK and globally. Allow me to start by thanking you all, everyone, each one of you, for all that you have been doing over the months and the years, for your solidarity, for your actions, for taking off to the streets every week in every city, in every town, for turning the UK and London the epicenter of global solidarity with the Palestinian people. And allow me to also thank you for just voting for Composite 17. That is clear in its calling for an immediate and permanent ceasefire, clear in its calling for an immediate recognition of the State of Palestine, clear in its calling for imposing sanctions on the illegal practices of Israel, clear in its demand for a full arms embargo on Israel. Matt and Paul and our friends, this is historic in every sense, and it will take us that much to make sure that our beliefs, our way ahead, our action is clear. It's clear that we all agree on what needs to be done for these atrocities to stop. And this, my friends, this urgently needs to become government policy. 79 years ago, the world united in shock and horror and vowed that never again would we allow such barbarity to be repeated. I am here referring to the horrors of the Second World War. Never again would we allow the persecution and attempted erasure of an entire people merely because of who they are. The entire global rules-based order came about in 1945 in an effort, collective effort, to make war obsolete and to ban forever atrocities, evil atrocities like mass murder, ethnic cleansing, and genocide. And yet, here we are. Next month, it will be a year of mass murder, mass destruction, and mass displacement in Gaza. During this year, an entire ecosystem of genocide has been established in Gaza. It is not limited to just causing mass murder and damage. It is very deliberately designed to render life in Gaza unlivable and to break the spirit of the Palestinian people to encourage, yet again, another mass expulsion. We know, you all know, that Israel is obstructing the delivery of food, of water, of humanitarian aid. At the Egyptian borders, there are enough trucks that would feed Gaza for months to come, but stuck there. It is also dramatically restricting what can come in, not only in terms of these basic materials, but it includes medicine and hygienic materials. I'll give you one example that comes from the UK Med, which is a British medical institution operating in Gaza, that they told us Israel is only allowing in one type of antibiotics, even though we all know that the body quickly grows resistance. This is deliberate, killing by other means. That's why some British medical magazines and institutions like Lancet have estimated that the number of people who have been killed, murdered so far, is not 40,000 or 42,000, it's 186,000. Taking into consideration those who were murders by other means, those who died because they did not get treatment for their cancer or they did not get their kidney dialysis on time. And we're talking about thousands upon thousands. This at a time when the UN reports 40,000 cases of hepatitis A, where before October last year, there were less than 100. This is a time when polio has re-emerged in Gaza. So when you look at the targeting of homes, that is 70% of Gaza's homes. Targeting of hospitals, that is 80% of, actually 90% of Gaza's hospitals destroyed. When you look at the bombing of schools, 80% of schools destroyed. And universities, 100% of universities destroyed, decimated, bombarded. The destruction of agricultural land and industry, the denial of aid, the restriction on imports. Understand that this is deliberate. And it is not just about Gaza. Look at how settlements, the illegal colonial settlements, squeezing Palestinian living space in the occupied West Bank. Look at the checkpoints, the walls, and the settler-only roads. Look at the home demolitions, the arbitrary arrests, the military raids, the killings. This is a clear, decades-old attempt at rendering the West Bank unlivable. This isn't just in Gaza. For us, the Palestinian people, same. Because of who we are. Because of who we are. They make no difference. Every Palestinian, each one of us, tall or not so tall, Muslim or Christian, from Gaza or from Jenin, is a target. Because of who we are, it is a slow genocide. It is a deliberate attempt which started in 1948. The same year, by the way, that the world adopted the Genocide Convention. Very same year, 48. It is a slow genocide that has been happening over the period of 76 years at the systematic extermination of the Palestinian people. Israel has created an ecosystem of genocide that is not just about mass killings, but about ending the very possibility of a Palestinian independence, freedom, but also the very possibility of Palestinian life in Palestine, and breaking our spirit, of course, of the struggle, spirit to maintain, to steadfast, to withstand. And the world, for 76 years, the world has let it. But let me say this, my friends. We, the Palestinian people, did not and will not let it. despite the genocide, despite the ethnic cleansing, despite all the horrors, we are too rooted, like the roots of our ancient olive trees. We are too rooted to be removed from our land. We are too resilient, actually, to be broken. And yes, we have done it before. They could not erase us completely in 1948. They could not crush us in 1967. They did not wipe us out in Lebanon in 1982. And despite the horrors in Gaza, they will not erase us from Gaza. And yes, we will survive this, and we will rise again, and we will rebuild Gaza. And as we have been, we will remain. We will remain in Gaza. We will remain in Jenin. We will remain in Jerusalem. We will remain in Khalil and Tulkarem. And we will remain in Jaffa. And we will remain as refugees outside and in the exile and the diaspora, holding onto our right to go back to our homes and farms. But the question here, my friends, is it really so hard to see our humanity? Is it so hard to understand the fears and traumas of the 17,000 children the UN has designated as unaccompanied as a result of Israel's unhinged aggression in Gaza? 17,000 unaccompanied. And what of their education? Unaccompanied means that they lost their parents and there is no one of their extended family. Sole, one person exists with nothing, a child. 17,000. What of their education, and what of the education of more than 800,000 students, school students and university students in Gaza that have gone without education for the second year in a row? What of their future? And that tells you it's a genocide, because Israel is not only targeting our present, it is targeting our future. You know how? Education. Because they know that our lifeline, our lifeblood is education. And is it really hard to understand the pain of Husam Abu Ajwe, the father of Tala? Tala is a 10-year-old who liked nothing better than to go roller skating. That was her passion. She was murdered in an Israeli airstrike last week, just last week, wearing her pink skates. On a rare occasion, her parents let her go outside to play. Her parents could only identify her because of those skates. They now join the hundreds of thousands of bereaved families, people in Gaza. Tala now joins the more than 16,400 children Israel killed in Gaza since last year. Statistics that apparently get less meaningful to the world the more they grow. Becomes normalized. Do Palestinians in Gaza, Palestinians anywhere, not meet the criteria for humanity? Do our lives matter? So my friends, next month it will be a year of genocide. It will be a year of shame for Israel's allies, who have repeatedly failed to do what needs to be done. In fact, it will be 76 years of shame. 76 years which Israel has been allowed to act with impunity. It forcibly removed 2/3 of the Palestinian people from our homes and lands in 1948. The Nakba, an act of mass ethnic that has been ongoing. This was fueled by a narrative that sees Palestine as the exclusive property of the Jewish people. A mindset of supremacy and entitlement that is incompatible with the presence of the land's native population. That is how the lie about a land without a people came about. The Palestinian people had to be erased. That is why we are now witnessing a genocide. All this time, Israel has acted with impunity, and still the global system is doing nothing, unable to respond. The world has been unable to even enforce its own Security Council resolutions, numerous resolutions, including in March, demanding an immediate ceasefire. Why? Why is this impotence when it comes to Israel? Why the silence, the inaction, the double standards? What have we become that members, senior members of the US Congress, senators, are bullying and demanding the institutions of the international justice not to pursue any of their own mandate? You may have heard that a letter was sent by members of the US Congress to the ICC that says you have been warned if they pursue Israel in the court. What have we become that most people think of these global institutions of justice as being effectively only, or as being effective and used only when it is directed at the poor? Did you see the interview in the CNN with the ICC Prosecutor General, who said that he was told by a Western senior politician that the ICC is only there for Russia and Africa? It's not for everybody else? Never at the rich and the powerful such institutions are directed. Is that the world we want to live in? My friends, it doesn't have to be this way. Look behind me on this wall, the slogan of this Congress. A new deal. I agree. We need a new deal for workers, but we also need a new deal for the world. Otherwise, we will be asking ourselves, what kind of world are we leaving behind for our children and grandchildren? Perhaps we need a commitment to the very principles we could all agree on in 1945. Most fundamental is this: we commit to a world with rules that apply equally. To everyone, everywhere, be it in Palestine, in Ukraine, in Sudan, applies equally. We commit to our legal and moral responsibilities under this order. The International Court of Justice has been abundantly clear what those are. Number one, you may have followed the ICJ ruling only a few weeks ago. Number one, Israel's occupation is unlawful. Number two, Israel's settlement are war crimes. Number three, third parties have a duty under international law to end any assistance, political, material, military, or legal, that directly or indirectly contributes to Israel's illegal policies. Number four, Israel must leave now. Leave now the occupied territories. That is not a political statement, it's the judges of the world. And this is why we and you, with your vote today, demand a complete, full arms embargo. While we welcome the decision by the UK government to suspend some arms licenses to Israel, it is simply unconscionable that the UK should continue to deliver any arms to Israel, given what it is clear to everyone, including according to UK lawyers, to be a grave violation of international law. This is a legal obligation, domestically and internationally. And my friends, ending the genocide is only the most pressing priority. There will be a huge reconstruction effort for which you will be needed. A friend in need is a friend indeed. You will be needed. Your expertise, your engineers, your volunteers, your health professionals, your teachers and professors will be needed. And we must not go back to the status quo ante. We must not accept to go back to a status quo ante. This is why we are demanding, as you voted also today, that the UK recognize the state of Palestine immediately. Only through real self-determination, the real exercise of our sovereignty, along with the right of return and justice and equality for our refugees, can be any meaningful peace and lasting peace. And if we are going to be serious about reaching a lasting peace, we must be serious about confronting Israeli policies. And let me explain something here. It is not either or. Recognition on the one hand of the state of Palestine is not a gift, it's not a favor, it's not a reward, it's not a punishment, it's a right that has been long overdue. On the one hand, recognition, and on the other hand, sanctions. These two go hand in hand. Hand in hand. Nothing substitute the other. Everyone surely understands this is by now. We must be united, my friends. We must be united in saying no to impunity. We must be united in saying no to divine entitlement, no to racial discrimination, no to selective implementation of rules, and also united in saying yes to an immediate and permanent ceasefire. Enough is enough. And yes to accountability. All those war criminals must be held accountable, period. And yes to sanctions on all those institutions and governments who will continue to aid Israel's illegal occupation. And we must be clear here, because Israel is practicing this conflation, because Israel takes in this international sport arena clubs from the illegal settlements to play on behalf of Israel. So it is our responsibility to make sure that these international sports arena are not being misused, abused, and illegal practices are being done. So, by the way, are also educational institutions. The University of Ariel, which is an illegal colonial settlement, is part of the overall Israeli state education institutions. We must make sure that if that is the case, all Israeli institutions implicated in this illegality are boycotted, are isolated, are divested from. So, my friends, just to conclude, after 76 years, it is frankly heart-wrenching to have to stand here and elsewhere and still spell out, still need to make the case for abiding by the law and abiding by our universal values of freedom and equality. Much of these cases you have been trying to make in the streets of the UK with your unions, with the government, should not need to be or needed to be made. Should have been straightforward. Seriously, we still should have to make the case for an arms embargo of a state that is committing genocide and now officially on trial for genocide at the International Court of Justice? We still have to make that case, that you should stop sending arms that end up killing thousands of children? We should not have been needing to make that case, or the case of recognition, or the case of sanctions. How did Nelson Mandela get freed? How did South Africa apartheid collapse? It was you and your similar actions that sucked oxygen out of that apartheid regime. And it is, as much as it is heart-wrenching, it is heartwarming to see you, to feel your support, and to feel the support of the British people. You've seen only this weekend on Saturday, the 18th National March, tens of thousands. The organizers tell me that there was more than 120,000. After 11 months, the intensity, the diversity, the unity of the British people is truly, truly inspiring. And the labor movement has a long and proud history of effective activism, from securing basic rights, decent wages, and humane working conditions, to standing up to and helping defeat injustices, including in South Africa. Now we need you to keep up the pressure on your government to meet its moral and legal obligations on Palestine. Continue lending your time, your voices, your shoe leather to this global movement for justice in Palestine. And you have done so much, and we've been following all the activism, and now you have turned London and the UK, yet again, as you did in the 80s, for the anti-apartheid movement. London, because of your work and support and persistence and principles, have become the epicenter, the hub of global solidarity with the Palestinian people. Justice in Palestine means justice everywhere, my friends. Palestine has become a global movement precisely because people have rightly identified it as a cornerstone of the anti-racist cause. It means the equal and unflinching application of law. It is not just about us. Palestine is not just about us. It is about all of us. Our defeat is your defeat. Any rights we cede, any ounce of rights we give up, is also giving up on your rights, because rights cannot be subdivided. Our liberation is also your liberation. Our struggle is yours. Our values are mutual. Our future is shared. And with clear-eyed determination and complete adherence to the principles of equality under law, we will overcome this too. And we shall witness and enjoy lasting peace and justice in a free Palestine. Thank you.